Hi, I am Mo and welcome to my first YouTube video. Before we start, here is a quick disclaimer. This video will contain spoilers to game stories like World of Warcraft, God of War, Metal Gear, The Last of Us. Additionally, this video will have some violent images. In this video, I will talk about games that I personally love. The video will focus on story and gameplay. Most of the games I will talk about in this video are PlayStation games or PC games. Unfortunately, I do not own an Xbox to talk about any Xbox games or exclusives. Let us get started. So, why do we play video games? Games are designed to provide us with a unique experience, an escape from reality, provide us with something that we cannot have in real life. It can make you a villain, it can make you a hero, it can make you have superpowers. How many of us wanted to be a Jedi Knight after watching Star Wars? Or when you watch Spider-Man, how many of us wanted to swing between one tower in New York City to the next? Games provide us with this opportunity to experience this feeling. Some games do it better than others, but this is why I'm creating this video. I want to talk about few games and what made them some of the best games that I have ever played. I also want to take this opportunity to highlight to game developers what I would like to see in their games and get my money worth. Personally, I'm one of the people who doesn't like to wait for games to be discounted. I would like to have my money worth for the games I paid $60 for or $70 for, not counting that depending on where you live, you might have internet speed issues, you might have to wait to download games, and you might have to wait to buy games even. The most important part in any game is a story and how you feel about the story, how you feel about these characters, how they make us feel when we are playing with them. Before we continue, let me know down in the comments if you played any of these games, Metal Gear Solid, God of War, World of Warcraft or Warcraft, and how you felt when you first were introduced to a character like Arthas from Warcraft, or how you felt when you were playing Solid Snake or Kratos, the God of War, how these games made you feel. All these characters and more have somehow left an impact on us. But sadly, only few games were able to deliver to us amazing game characters and stories and experiences. I'm gonna give you an example that many people might disagree with me. Look at the recent Spider-Man games. The games feel amazing to play. It makes you feel like you're Spider-Man swinging from one tower to the next, having amazing gadgets, fighting criminals, and saving the day and making New York City a safer place. But let me ask you a question. After you beated the game by 1 month, do you remember anything related to the game story? Do you remember any of the villains that you encountered? Did they provide you with any unique experiences? All I remember in my experience was I really enjoyed swinging from one tower to the next and fighting criminals. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Spider-Man was a bad game. Actually, I think it's an amazing game and you must try it. But what I'm trying to say is the story could have been done a lot better. Let me now give you an example of a game that had an amazing story. The game I will talk about now is Warcraft, whether it's the strategy game or the role-playing game. Now for me, Warcraft offered many stories. My favorite one is the Prince Arthur story. I love just how in the story you start as a hero of the light and how by the end of the story you become a villain. Not only that, the moment they give you Frostmourne, the moment you have it, and the sacrifice you have to do in the game to get Frostmourne. After finishing the strategy game, I started to play World of Warcraft. However, unfortunately, I quit in Wrath of the Lich King before killing the Lich King at level 80. But I came back at level 90, and one of the first things I decided to do was enter the raid and kill the Lich King. Now, as a level 90 at that time, for a raid that required level 80, me and 10 of my friends went in. We decided to start the fight. Looked like an amazing fight. Very well done. By the end of it, and this is a spoiler, by the end of it, the Lich King just wiped us. And then, in a moment of silence, the game you start to hear his voice, "Light, grant me one more chance." And you come back to life and you killed the Lich King. It was just an amazing experience that, till this day in World of Warcraft history, I still remember it as one of my favorite moments in the game. And again, I regret not experiencing this raid at level 80. If you're interested in this Lich King story like I was, I would recommend you to watch a YouTube video that is 3 hours long with full details explaining the entire story and even showing the raid fight. You will find the link in the description. Let me give you another example of a game that I really loved. Metal Gear. I'm gonna be talking about Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 4 and Metal Gear The Phantom Pain. Metal Gear 1 had many epic moments, but my favorite was the fight against Psycho Mantis. And in the fight, he basically reads your mind, he blocks every ability, he dodges any attack you do against him, he's reading your memory card, he's asking you, oh, you played this game, oh, you did this and that, and you cannot attack him. And once you start to switch the controller from the controller 1 to controller 2, you can finally attack him, and he's not able to read your mind, and he's complaining he cannot read your data. This moment in gaming, it was a mind-blowing moment. It was never done until today. Nothing like this has been done based on my knowledge. Now, if you're a real Metal Gear fan, you probably have destroyed many Metal Gears. But in Metal Gear 4, you finally have the opportunity to control the Metal Gear itself, and you have the ability to enter a boss fight with it. And it's one of the best moments in gaming for me, because I remember how many of them I destroyed and how I always wanted to control one. Moving to Metal Gear The Phantom Pain, there was many moments that I loved, but my favorite was the introduction to Quiet. The character was so well written, so well designed that I honestly was mind blown away. From the first moment you have a sniper fight with her, to the moment when you make her help you, to that sad mission that I wish they never created. And I will not talk about this mission. If you want to know, just go and write Quiet Sending on YouTube and you will figure out what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint. And again, it's a spoiler video, so why not? It's the moment you lose Quiet in the game. And not only did I lose her, I couldn't take her on any other missions, which was super annoying for me and frustrating. I will be honest, I couldn't do it. I watched that part on YouTube and I didn't want to play it. That is how much I liked Quiet accompanying me on mission. And I liked her story. I liked how they showed this character, and the fact that she didn't speak a word in the game was also mind-blowing to me. And finally, I will be honest, she was hot. Okay, here's another game moment for Metal Gear The Phantom Pain that I also really loved and enjoyed. It was the ending of the game. The moment you discover the real ending. And this is a fan theory. So, in this theory, you think you're playing as a medic in the end of the game. You know that you're not Big Boss, you're the medic. But in reality, you're not the medic. You are you. And you have created your own character. You have given it a name, you have given it a look, and by the end of the game, you're the one who did this crimes. You're the evil person. You're the evil big boss. It's not the game medic, it's you. You're the one who did all of these crimes. When you think about it, and when you think about how this game was designed and who designed it, this theory makes a lot of sense. And it's mind-blowing, and it's also emotional, because you remember that mission where you had to go to Mother Base and your soldiers were sick and you had to deal with them? Do you remember that mission? Do you remember what you did? I felt really bad doing this, but in the end, I was the one who pressed the button in the controller, so it was the player who did this, not a character in the game. And I find this to be so mind-blowing. Okay, enough talking about Metal Gear, and let's go back to what makes game stories great. Most modern games now provide us with a travel buddy. Some games did it in a direct way, like God of War, while others did it in a different way, like GTA. GTA, for example, whenever you did a mission, you had the radio talking about it, you receive a phone call to talk about it, or someone will call you and entertain you, or you might have a non-player character sitting next to you and just having a story with you in chat, or maybe fighting with you. It provided you with this experience where you're not alone in the game. The game is talking to you. There is a character sitting with you and keeping you entertained or fighting with you as if they're sitting next to you in real life. In God of War, you had your son and you had the head talking to you. And throughout the game, they always kept you entertained. And the fact that they never stopped talking was also a fun experience for me, because they kept on telling the story, and in the same time, you never felt lonely in this world. This world always had two characters talking to you, entertaining you. And it was done so well, and they had fun stories, they had funny stories. You were just invested in this world. You always know in God of War that if your son yells, "Watch out, father," that something is going to be terribly wrong, and you might have to dodge, you might have to block an attack. It also kept you invested in the fight scenes. Additionally, God of War offered many unique boss fights. My favorite one was the Stranger, but there was another boss fight in God of War 3 that was also mind-blowing for me, and how they made me feel. It was the fight against the Titan. You play as Kratos, who's really tiny next to this giant, and to the point that in the boss fight, the giant actually eats Kratos, and Kratos goes inside his stomach and rips him apart. It's just a mind-blowing fight how they made you feel as a tiny creature versus a massive one, and they give this god of war this power to defeat this titan. There is some other games that use a different approach that is close to the ones I just mentioned, which is a game like The Last of Us. The Last of Us is one of the best games I ever played in terms of gameplay, story, and characters. In The Last of Us world, most of the time you're accompanied by Dina if you're playing as Ellie. And she will talk to you, she will be entertaining, and she will always give you hints. And when things go real, she will stay silent. And this is a time where you take out your gun and you start shooting some clickers. Or you can just run. In fact, whenever Ellie was alone in this game, I always felt like I need to hide. There was something that is going to attack me. I was always on the edge. My adrenaline levels were at max. But this game, The Last of Us, actually had a lot more to offer than the story of Ellie that I'm talking about. There was actually 2 characters that you play with. And again, spoiler alert, the 2 of them want to kill each other, but throughout the game, you love the 2 characters. You play as the 2 characters, you fight for their lives, and you're invested in the 2 characters, and it just has a deep impact on my mind. Like, this is a story that I cannot forget. I cannot forget about the ending of this game. I cannot forget about this story and how it felt to be walking in Seattle. The game had a lot to offer in terms of storytelling, gameplay, the fact that you can play super aggressive or you can be sneaking around. It was such a unique game. Even the fact that it allowed you to cheat and have infinite ammo if you wanted to. All of that contributed to a gameplay that you actually enjoyed and you played as you wanted to play. In conclusion, I think that games today are one of the best and the biggest sources of modern entertainment. It's not cheap to make, it's not cheap to buy. At an average of $60 price tag, these games managed to make us have this unique feelings, this unique experience that all the games I mentioned were a good example of how they offered some unique experiences. And I just want to take this opportunity to ask game developers, please give us more games like God of War. Give us more epic moments and more epic games like The Last of Us, or give us the next GTA, or a game like Infamous that makes you feel like you're a person with true superpowers, or a game like StarCraft, which is one of my favorite strategy games, or give us the next Metal Gear story. Give us these unique things. Stop giving us bad games. Stop giving us games that we don't want to play. What I'm asking for is simple. Give me an epic experience, an epic gameplay, and an epic story. Just give us a game that is complete and stop giving us DLC. I hate DLCs. I'd rather have a full game story with an expansion that is also mind-blowing and is long than having to buy this DLC. All games I talked about today are games I consider one of the best games ever created. Of course, there is other games I didn't mention. With that said, I would like to thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give me a sub. And before I leave you guys, I just want to know what games do you find to be your top 3, so please let me know down in the comments. Salam!